This is Super Yacht News with Sisman.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so we've got an update on the previous video that we did, and the last video that we did was about a yacht that capsized and sank. Now, the information was still coming into us. We put out a very short video at the time, and we asked for people who were on board to contact us. Now, we've had a lot of people who were on board contact us and give us their eyewitness accounts. Now, we've kind of compared them to each other, and they all basically are corroborating each other. Having said that, these are from people who have sent it to us. We're not able to independently verify the information. But anyway, if you don't know the story, a 42-meter yacht described as a liveaboard yacht, which was doing diving excursions for divers in the Straits of Gubal, which is in the Red Sea, south of the Suez Canal. The yacht capsized and sank. So there were no fatalities on board, but it was quite a terrifying experience by all means. Now, a few of the things that we've looked at is early reports and the operator's website both say that the vessel was brand new in 2022. However, this does not appear to be the case. The vessel was actually built in 2002 and it was rebuilt in 2022. And they extended the vessel and added 2 decks to the vessel during this refit. Now, there are not many details about this, where it was carried out, etc. We think it was probably carried out locally. And all we could find was a photograph of the work being carried out. You can see people working on the hull there. The operator's website, which is a rudimentary website, has very little information also about the vessel. There's very little information about actually contacting the people who run this company as well. We do have some information about who the general manager is, but we've been unable to contact her. We'll go into that a little bit later. Now, like I said, very little information out there, but if we look at this old advert that we found online, it describes the vessel as a 36-meter long vessel with 22 guests in 11 cabins. Now, if we go to the website of the Carlton Fleet, it says the vessel is a 42-meter long vessel and has 14 cabins for 28 guests. So that suggests an 8-meter extension plus those 2 decks to cater for an extra 6 guests. Now, when you add decks to a vessel, you're adding height. You need to add solid ballast to the keel. Otherwise, the vessel becomes very top heavy. Now, in the previous video with very little information, I said that the vessel sounded like it was sailing top heavy, and that would be an explanation for that. If you want to know what happens to a vessel that has this kind of modification, extra decks, what it can do is look at our series on Motor Yacht Yogi, and this was the largest super yacht ever to sink. I'll put links in all the normal places. Now, the vessel had a crew of 9. The vessel has not been registered with the IMO, and the eyewitnesses said it was flying an Egyptian flag. Now, what we also got told is in this area, the Egyptians are not authorizing any new vessels they're not giving licenses out for new vessels to sail in this area because they need a specific license to do these charters. So what the companies are doing instead is they're refurbishing or refitting the vessels they have to try and make them bigger, to try and maximize their profit. Now, here's some of the eyewitness accounts. We've kind of mixed them all together because there was an awful lot of information. We want to try and, limit it for the purposes of this video. But this is what we've got, the timeline. The 22nd of May, this is before the cruise started. Eyewitnesses reported that they had noted that the vessel was listing over to port side, or to the left as you look forward. They said it was listing over 2 to 4 degrees. Now, they reported this to the crew, who assured them that it was fine, and it was probably due to the vessel taking on fresh water for the trip, probably. So we'll fast forward 2 days now, second day of the trip, 24th of May, 0600 hours. The divers are getting ready for a dive, and they said that this is at Abu Nahas, and they commented again to the crew that the Carlton Queen was now listing over even more, like 4 to 5 degrees. 5 to 6 degrees, they said it was listing over to port side. So 10-15 hours after they completed the dive, the vessel set off to its next location, and the eyewitnesses said now the vessel was listing over to starboard. And then at 10-25 hours, apparently, according to one eyewitness, the captain made a course change and the vessel listed over to starboard even further. And they were traveling at approximately 10 knots. And then a few minutes later, the vessel went almost 90-degree list within less than 30 seconds. And then they said that the vessel came back to about 55 to 60-degree list. Now, there were 6 guests inside the vessel, as in below decks. 3 of them were on deck 1, which is the lowest deck, and some of the others were on deck 3. Now, some of the eyewitness testimony said that the guests who were in deck 3, they were in like a lounge, and they said that all of a sudden the windows were just on the starboard side were showing water. They said it was like a glass bottom boat. And then they recognized that the vessel had listed over. All of the furniture in the room as well wasn't bolted down, so it all flew across from one side of the vessel to the other. Now the stairs to escape out onto the deck were now above them. The windows, the port side windows, are now above them, 3 to 4 meters above them, and there was no way to reach up there to get to those stairs to get out to safety. But there were some cabinets in one part of the room. They were able to sort of climb up with those cabinets and pull themselves up high enough to get outside. From another area of the boat, this is on deck 1, one of the guests, Fernando Suarez Meyer, he said he went to an escape hatch on deck 1, where he found that there was no handle to open that hatch. So he tried to push it and pull it, but there was nothing to grab onto, and he couldn't open the hatch. He then had to go back through the cabin area, and he got to a point where now the floor is the wall, and the sides, the starboard side of the vessel is now the floor, right? So he's trying to reach up to the port side to get out, but he's too low down and he can't get out, and he's trapped. So there was a diving tank which he grabbed hold of, and obviously that was floating, and he had to wait for the vessel to take on water and then he held on to the diving tank and he floated up, so he got to a point where he could climb out and go out to safety. It all sounds quite terrifying. Now, Robert Jensens, who's another of the guests on board, he said that they did not have, prior to the trip, they didn't have a proper safety briefing when they came on board. He said he didn't understand how the vessel had passed the inspections for seaworthiness. Simona Adelhock, who is listed on LinkedIn as the general manager of Carlton Fleet, he said Mr. Jensen said that she lied to them about the ship being brand new, and he said it wasn't, it was refurbished. And also Simona Adelhock had no respect for us, her customers. This is what he's saying. It took her 2 days after the Capsized to come to visit us at the hotel, and all she did then was offer them a free trip the next time around as compensation. Another of the guests who was on board, Christian Hansen, he said that, as our previous report rightly suggested, the captain was the first to leave the vessel, and he left his crew, many of whom couldn't swim, to fend for themselves. He said, leaving us to help them to safety. He said, we rescued the crew and ourselves. So the guests rescued the crew. And he said that also the captain failed to secure the life rafts, inflatable life rafts, to the vessel. So when they inflated, they just drifted away. If you are planning on going on a cruise, on a diving cruise or one of these cruises in this area, and you're worried you might be going with the same company, carltonfleet.com is the website. The Ministry of Tourism number is 19435. Now, as I was doing the research here, I noticed that the website had been updated. I refreshed the page. As you can see, I actually captured it. I was recording it at the time, and I refreshed the page, and you can see that they've removed that vessel from the website, and it's just showing one other vessel now called Carlton. Now, another vessel in the area was an Italian dive safari vessel called the VIP Schrauk, and this vessel obviously received a distress, diverted to the Capsized area, and they launched one of their Zodiacs to transfer the passengers from the life raft to their vessel. 11:20, all 35 passengers and crew were accounted for on VIP Shroud, where medical attention and general care was given. 14:30 hours, the Egyptian Navy vessel took all 35 rescued passengers and crew to Hurghada. And at 1600 hours, 4 passengers were transferred by ambulance to the Royal Hospital. 22 passengers were transferred to a hotel in that location. We have been unsuccessful in trying to contact this company. Ms. Adelhock, who is listed on LinkedIn as the general manager of the Carlton fleet, has not responded to our messages. If you are any of the guests who haven't yet contacted us, please be sure to do so. You can get us through the email address news@esysman.co.uk. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching. If you've got any information about this story or any other stories, please be sure to get in touch. You can do that through the About page of the YouTube channel. You can get us on Instagram, on Facebook Messenger, on Twitter, and on Threema. Be sure to like this video, very important for the algorithm. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for future notifications. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.